Greetings, friends. Welcome back to the channel. Last season in fantasy football, I won, dude, tens of dollars. Hitting on wide receivers late in my drafts that are just incorrectly ranked. The market was just wrong on. I made my bets. That's how you win in fantasy football, right? You make bets against the market that you think dudes are going to outperform their ADP. So in this video, I have 5 wide receivers that I think if they don't get dramatically cheaper as the offseason goes along, I'm going to be drafting them no matter what, dude. No matter what their cost, I'll reach them. I have to. I've already been reaching for some of these guys in my best ball league. So without wasting any time, bro, let's get into this video. And the first name on this list is our boy Cedric Tillman from the Cleveland Browns. He's the wide receiver 2 for this team, and there's no one really behind him. And last season, when he stepped into that X receiver role when Amari Cooper got traded away, he actually had a very nice little stretch where he was looking like an absolute league winner the rest of the season. So you see here, I'll pull up his game log. After Amari Cooper leaves in week 6, where he gets traded to the Buffalo Bills, Cedric Tillman immediately has an explosion, dude. He goes for 18, then 28, then 19 fantasy points. They do have the bye week. Out of the bye week, he kind of tempers back down to earth, and then he gets injured. He gets like a concussion, and he's out for the rest of the season. But Cedric Tillman really showed us that he can be like an alpha X receiver for this Cleveland Browns team. No matter who the quarterback was, he was getting hyper targeted. You see that he had 12, 9, and 11 targets in those big 3 pop-off games. So Cedric Tillman's a really good contested catch getter, and he seems to be like the third or even second option on this team behind Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku. Now, I think he could potentially outproduce David Njoku. He can potentially even outproduce Jerry Jeudy if things go his way, if he just shows another gear, another level for this offense. Now, some of the cons about Cedric Tillman, the reason why he's going so late, I suppose, is just that he's very unproven, right? He has a very small sample size where he was very good, right, and very productive for us. So another con to Cedric Tillman's game is that he has an uncertain QB situation, right? We don't really know who the QB for the Browns is going to be. There's like a 4-way quarterback battle between Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, and fucking Dylan Gabriel. So we don't really know who the QB is going to be for this team, right? But if that gets resolved, I do think Cedric Tillman's going to severely outperform his ADP. And the next player on this list is Trey Harris, going at wide receiver 57, boys. In the 14th plus round, Trey Harris is the wide receiver 2 for the LA Chargers. They draft him in the 2nd round. He's a 6'3" contested catch monster. The dude's an absolute beast. He's an alpha type wide receiver. He did really well in college. He was an absolute college dominator, man. Shout out to Ian Hartitz here. He highlighted just a little stretch of games from Trey Harris here before he got injured in college. You see that he was getting like 8 for 179 and 2, 9 for 130, 10 for 94, 11 for 225, and another 2 touchdowns. The dude is just popping off, dude. Massive yardage games, touchdowns. He was an absolute beast, bro, in college. So we like players. We like rookie wide receivers that were dominators in college, right? Because most likely, or not most likely, but they have a higher chance of popping off in the NFL, or the higher chance of them translating that to the NFL. Another chart that Ian Hartitz, dude, shout out to the GOAT. This was a chart, dude, where Trey Harris just absolutely breaks the chart, man. You see it's yards per route run versus man on the x-axis, and then yards per route run versus zone on the y-axis. Trey Harris is up here in this quadrant all by himself, dude. 10 plus yards per route run against man, and then 4+ against zone is absolutely insane. Now, admittedly, it is a small sample size. It's only 38 routes that he did run. So small sample, but he dominated in that sample, right? So I envision that he's going to be a solid wide receiver 2 for this team. And if we want to bank on a player where he has a profile that's a little bit concerning, right? He's like an X receiver, not the best route technician. Think like Terrace Marshall Jr., right? So we've seen dudes like Marshall absolutely bust in the NFL, right? It's a very like volatile type of profile for a wide receiver. Now, I think the reason that he actually ends up being not a bust and being a hit, right, is that he has Justin Herbert throwing him the ball, dude. One of the more accurate, better quarterbacks in the NFL. So if we're going to make a bet on a dude to kind of like break that mold and to be more of a DK Metcalf than a Terrace Marshall Jr., I think it's going to be a dude in a Justin Herbert offense. So that's why I love drafting him, dude. A wide receiver 2 on a good offense in the 14th plus round is just kind of insane to me. I think he's somebody that I'm willing to reach for multiple rounds if you have to, dude. Anywhere after like the 12th round, if you want to go for Trey Harris, dude, I will not blame you one bit. And the next name on this list is Juwan Jennings, man. So Juwan Jennings had himself a nice little season last year after Brandon Ayuk goes down with his ACL injury. He becomes essentially the alpha wide receiver for this team. He had 2.26 yards per route run. That puts him at 13th in the NFL. with a 24.2% targets per route run. That's about 18th in the NFL. So he's like a wide receiver 2 by most like critical metrics, right? Those are both metrics that we really love for fantasy production or for predicting fantasy production, right? That puts him on par, just for context, with guys like Brian Thomas Jr. and T. Higgins. So he's a perfect type of wide receiver 2 archetype, right? The perfect type of player to be like a wide receiver 2. So in 6 games with Ricky Pearsall, Jennings, Kittle, and Brock Purdy all on the field together, he had a 31% first read target share. Now, assuming Brandon Ayuk doesn't come back quick enough, right? He's still maybe hampered by his ACL injury. I just see Jauan Jennings stepping into an absolute alpha role for this 49ers team. There's another chart here by Fantasy Points Data. We see that Jauan Jennings is kind of clustered in this little above the X and Y axis in the nice quadrant, right? Good on horizontal, good on vertical routes in terms of route separation. So that puts him around guys like Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, Garrett Wilson. Good company, in my opinion, right? Jauan Jennings is a little bit more expensive. You're going to get him in like the 7th, 8th round, sometimes even sooner, bro. I see him going like the 6th round in some best ball leagues. I think people are just getting smart on the fact that he could end up being the alpha for this team, right? So I think if he falls in your leagues, he's somebody that I'd love to smash and draft as early as like the 7th round. Which brings us to the next player, Darnell Mooney, somebody that the NFL has just kind of been disrespecting, bro. The fantasy industry has been disrespecting Darnell Mooney. Now, last season, he was one of my dart throws. He's somebody that I was targeting at the end of drafts. I even made a couple videos. You can go back to my channel and look at them. I was saying that, draft Darnell Mooney late in your drafts because he's going to be the wide receiver 2 for this team. He showed that he can actually be a productive wide receiver from his time in Chicago. I just want to read to you guys this quote from the Falcons wide receivers coach. Now, I don't know how pivotal the wide receivers coach is for the Falcons. I don't know if he's going to have play calling potential, but he said we're going to lean on him a lot more than we did last year and see where that goes. Now, keep in mind, last year, he was not half bad, dude. 64 receptions for 992 yards and 5 touchdowns. He misses 2 games, keep that in mind, or he misses 1 game, so he only plays 16 games. He could have hit the 1K mark, I think, if he did play in that last game. He only needed 8 yards. But nevertheless, dude, no big additions to this team, no free agent signings. I don't even think I can name another player on this fucking Falcons team. I think Michael Penix Jr. is an absolutely fantastic gunslinging quarterback, the perfect type of quarterback that you want for an ascending offense like this. I think he's just going to be able to elevate everybody on the Falcons, right? Including, dare I fucking say, dude, Kyle Pitts. I even think Kyle Pitts has some upside in this offense. So 10th round, wide receiver 50. He's going after guys like Ricky Pearsall, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp. It just doesn't really make much sense to me, man. Like, I don't think Cooper Kupp has as much upside as Mooney, and I think Cooper Kupp has a much lower floor, right? He can bust just as easily. And I think Ricky Pearsall, okay, maybe he can take the next step in his sophomore season, but what are the chances of him doing that? Well, we've already seen Darnell Mooney take that step and be that wide receiver 2 for this team. And Stephon Diggs, dude, I'm not even going to talk about Stephon Diggs. I mean, he's fucking like 83 to 108 years old, coming off of like multiple ACL injuries. He's old. He's also old. So I think you want to take Darnell Mooney, even in the 10th round. He's one of the safer 10th round picks if you're looking for a wide receiver with some upside, right? Which brings us to the next player, man. This is my absolute favorite click, my absolute favorite wide receiver to draft in all of fantasy. It's Josh Downs. Josh Downs, dude, I'm willing to put my grandmother in a retirement home if I have to. I don't know why that event would ever come up, why that condition would come up that I would have to put my mom in a retirement home, but I would do it, dude. I'd send her to a goddamn home because Josh Downs going at wide receiver 46 is insane. It's just insane to me, dude. Let me just list a couple of stats for you guys. Top 10 in targets per route run at 27.5, 2.2 yards per route run. That puts him better than Amon-Ra St. Brown. So he's only 23 years old, dude, and he did fairly well with both Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco last season. So whoever the quarterback might be, I think Josh Downs is a pretty safe wide receiver. I think he could be a top 15 wide receiver if he just stays healthy. I mean, he's not really a secret anymore. A lot of fantasy analysts are talking about Josh Downs. I just think they have a soft schedule. The offense is growing. It should be a slightly better offense, bro. With Jonathan Taylor just hopefully staying healthy, Anthony Richardson maybe taking a step forward as a quarterback. And then, if Anthony Richardson doesn't pan out, you do have Daniel Jones, who's pretty solid, right? I mean, Malik Neighbors was wide receiver 6 with Daniel Jones. Like, I think Josh Downs definitely has like top 20, top 15 potential if it's Jones or Anthony Richardson. So Another just nice shout out to Matt Harmon over here from Reception Perception. If you don't know Matt Harmon, dude, you got to follow him on Twitter. He basically is like the wide receiver whisperer, and he just listed some of Josh Downs' success rates versus certain press coverages or certain coverage, defensive coverages. So 76.7 success versus man, that's in the 90th percentile. 86% versus zone, 92nd percentile, and 71 versus press, that's 82nd percentile. So across the board, dude, he's one of the better young wide receivers in the NFL. So in an offense like the Colts, where there's not really a lot of mouths to feed, I mean, Michael Pittman is kind of yesterday's news, kind of yesterday's hotness. I think it's really going to be an offense that revolves around Jonathan Taylor and Josh Downs. So I'm really excited to draft Josh Downs. I just think he's going so late, man. He's going like in the 9th round, 8th round. Sometimes you can get him even like in the double digit rounds. It's just an insane player that when I see him, dude, like when I'm using the fantasy draft, like the ADPs that are typically in sleeper or fucking underdog or FFPC, and I'm scrolling, dude, I'm looking for wide receivers because I don't really use my rankings in drafts. I like to like kind of just wing it when I'm like laying on the couch. I'll see Josh Downs just sitting there like late in drafts, and I'm like, holy fuck, dude, how did I miss this? And I'll reach for him, man. I'll reach for him in like the 8th, 7th round if I had to. So those are the players, man. Those are 5 wide receivers that I want to draft no matter what, dude. These are guys that at their value, dude, later round picks, right? These are dudes that I think are going to take that next step and just return value and severely outperform their ADP, man. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you agree on Josh Downs, dude. Let me know if you saw what I saw last season specifically. And hit me down in the comments, man. It really helps the videos when you guys comment. I really want to interact with you guys. Shoot the shit, man. Banner. Disagree with me. I'm super down, dude. And if you guys like this video, man, a like is the best way to show support. Comment for that, and engagement for the algorithm to help the video grow, to help my channel grow, and all that kind of stuff if you want to catch more of this stuff. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.